Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Let's move fast through calls. Out of Dr. Doug Rocky joining us. Bruce in Canada, you're on the air. Thanks for holding, my friend.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
Good, sir.
Good. I have some almost live intel for you from Ukraine. In Lviv, in the west, my foreman here at work, his sister is there. The police there have sided with the people. The military that's present in the city have sided with the people. The government officials in the region have all actually resigned, and things are pretty, well, as normal as they can be.
Exactly, because the West is more with Europe. That's the slogan of the group, is we are with the West. And then the East is more with Russia, so the country might split in two.
Move over to Kharkov in the east, and unfortunately there, the police have now sided with the military. They are present on the streets. The phones aren't working, and the internet is very dicey. And then we move down to the center in Kirovograd. The police there have sided with the people, apparently. The military are in the streets, and it's like a ghost town. No one is moving. None of the shops are open.
Well, let me ask you this question. So you're saying, do you believe this is a legitimate movement? And from what you're saying, you believe the majority of people in Ukraine are for this?
Well, I think that the key to the whole thing, I understand the whole Soros thing and all of that stuff, but I think that the people in general are really...
No, I get it, but then they hijack it and then put their people in. So,
oh, no, I hear you. I agree. And it's really sad. Then if you move to Kyiv, I just finished talking to someone in Kyiv a few moments ago, fortunate, because the phone actually worked. And... all hell is breaking loose there. The banks are shut down. The shops are all closed. People there are just terrified, of what's going on, and it's a war zone far beyond what you actually see. I don't see a lot of good things happening here.
Well, it is a real shame. They're great people, a lot of great art, a lot of interesting literature. A lot of good things come out of the Ukraine. A lot of wheat comes out of the Ukraine. And it's just sad to see ancient Balkanization continuing on. I'm just here to tell you, there's a lot of beefs on both sides, and I know that. The West is in there fomenting this. And that is a crime, to foment inside other people's countries. If somebody was doing that here in the U.S., I'd be upset about it. And I just hope that it all ends up, coming to a head and blowing over quickly. But you're saying, from the people you're talking to, you think the West is definitely already in the hands of the opposition? Well,
it's pretty open. The people that I've talked to are very aware that the Americans are definitely interfering, and they're not real happy about it. So that I find really encouraging. And I do, everyone that I do talk to, and believe me, I know hundreds of people in Ukraine, and I mean all over Ukraine, and every one of them that I get an opportunity to have a few minutes with, I encourage them, listen, pay attention to what's going on, and, watch out for the Americans in the EU, because you don't want to be a part of the EU. They'll bankrupt you. And, you'd be surprised, Alex. Most of them are very aware.
No, I know Ukrainians. Ukrainians, I run into them on the street, and I've got a few friends that are Ukrainian, only been here one generation, and they're really cool people. I like them. So I know we have listeners in Ukraine. I don't like having to wade in on one side or the other. I just think it's wrong that the globalists and the EU, that Ukraine didn't vote to go with them, so now they're pulling this. And I'm not saying some of the people don't have real issues. I just, if the Ukrainians want to burn down the Capitol and shoot all the police and set a new government up, that's Declaration of Independence. But if the West is doing it from outside, it's not. I appreciate your call, sir. Great points. Mark, Tom, Zach, Jill, and others, your calls are coming up. Dr. Doug Rocky on some of the most important issues we could possibly talk about straight ahead. Please tell your friends and family to tune in. You can follow us on Twitter at @RealAlexJones. Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gates, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filters today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. Why does the United States spend the largest percentage of GDP in the world on healthcare? Why do we have the highest cancer rates on the planet, the highest rates of diabetes, autism, and every other major disease? It all comes down to one thing. We are what we eat. Our food is devoid of nutrition and processed with poisons and additives. Our water is filled with toxic poisons and big pharma runoff. All of this has been engineered by design. We can turn the tide against the eugenicist by giving ourselves the nutrients our body desperately needs. To learn more, visit InfoWarsHealth.com. The site is literally packed with audio and video featuring top health professionals who don't bow down to big pharma. The fight against the New World Order starts with you, and you can't stand against the machine if you're sick, tired, and obese. When you visit InfoWarsHealth.com, be sure and check out the catalog with nearly 400 life-changing products and get free shipping when you sign up for AutoShip. Hi folks, Alex Jones here with some important information. I want to tell you about Matt Redhawk and his team of patriots over at My Patriot Supply. Several years ago, Matt was sitting in his 2-bedroom apartment, frustrated with the direction this country was headed and the charlatans willing to sell us out for a quick buck. Deciding to take action, a company run by patriots for patriots was born. My Patriot Supply has never taken a loan or accepted outside funding. They now operate 2 distribution facilities and employ over 50 hardworking American men and women. It is rare to find companies who practice what they preach. And that's why I stock my pantry with high-quality storable foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Alex today for special offers on emergency food storage or call their preparedness specialist at 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Do business with someone who shares your values. mypatriotsupply.com/Alex.
Listening to an Infowars.com frontline report. It's Alex Jones.
Waging war on corruption, crashing the lies and disinformation. Now into the third and final hour. Your calls are coming up on a host of issues. At about 35-40 after, we're going to have Dr. Doug Rockey go. Then we appreciate him spending time with us today. He's had more than 40 surgeries just to stay alive. And much of his team has died from cleaning up depleted uranium on the highway of death in Iraq. He wrote the Army's DU handbook, and I don't have time to go over his 5-page bio, but Dr. Doug Rockey is a depleted uranium expert. He earned his BS in physics following his MS and PhD in physics and technology education. His military career has spanned now up to 5 decades to include combat duty during Vietnam War and Gulf War I. Doug served as a member of the 3rd U.S. Army Medical Command Nuclear, Biological, and Chemical NBC Teaching, Medical Response, and Special Operations Team, 3rd U.S. Army Captured Equipment Project Team, and the 3rd U.S. Army Depleted Uranium Assessment Team during Gulf War Operation Desert Storm. He was the U.S. Army Depleted Uranium Project Director of the entire program in 94-95. He developed the congressionally mandated education and training materials, wrote the U.S. Army Regulation 700-48, U.S. Army PAM 748, U.S. Army Command Task for DU Incidents, or Common Task, Doug has taught nuclear, biological, chemical warfare, hazardous materials, and emergency medicine for 20 years to police all over the country and civilians. He has been an advisor, on-screen expert for numerous television documentaries. I just can't even cover it all. Dr. Doug has taught undergraduate and graduate courses in environmental science, environmental engineering, nuclear physics, emergency management, and was a staff physicist at the University of Illinois. And I just can't even go over it. Before he retired, he serves as the advisor of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, U.S. Department of Defense, U.S. National Academy of Sciences, U.S. Institute of Medicines, U.S. Senate, U.S. House of Representatives, U.S. Department of Transportation, U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, U.S. Department of U.S. Defense, General Accounting Office, U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, British Royal Society, British House of Lords of Commons, United Nations, U.S. President Clinton Presidential Oversight Board. I mean, I can't even do the whole deal. The point is, he is the expert, Dr. DU. And, you know, we'll go to 40 after with him. I know he'd say do the whole hour, but I don't want to sit here and exhaust him because I know he's been in rehab and stuff. That's why he hadn't been able to come on. It took me a month to get him on. I wanted to get him on because when I had, a month ago, the sailors from the USS Ronald Reagan who were out there right off the coast of Fukushima doing disaster relief and who got sick within days and then now are in wheelchairs, blood coming out their orifices, teeth falling out, kidney failure, all the regular radiation sickness stuff, standard procedure stuff. I thought about Doug Rockey because they didn't even tell them they needed potassium iodate when they were on the ship. Only those that went on shore at the site were given that. Even though they admitted they went through the plume and knew it and radiation detectors were going off. When our reporters were out in California, the San Francisco paper reported, yes, there's 14 times and 10 times and 5 times the regular millisievert level, but we're not going to investigate. It's no big deal. Well, 20 years ago, it would be a big deal. So there's this attitude now, since about 1990, that DU, it doesn't matter. It's not a problem anymore. And you're seeing almost everybody that worked on TEPCO dying now. And then you saw Dr. Doug Rockey and his team and the hell they went through. And then not taking care of the troops once they get sick. That was the sailors we had on. Can't even get medical care when they go into the VA. And they've got catheters in them, you know, 3 years after Fukushima. And it's everything that Dr. Doug broke down. So he is the man to talk about his experience in the Gulf War, what happened. And now, when I used to get Dr. Doug Rockey on 16 years ago, I've been talking to him since about 1998, so I guess 16 years. Since all that's happened, they've gone from letting them sit on the ammo of 50 cal DU and the Sabos and the Abrams, you know, the larger main gun stuff, which radiate your testicles all day long, to letting them shoot it, not even cleaning it properly, into small arms at shooting ranges, into forklift weights. I mean, this is a proliferation. They may put it on the back of Wheaties next, saying it's good for you. Doctor, what are we facing here as the expert?
It's just a medical and environmental catastrophe. It's never ended. I mean, when we go back and all the stuff that I learned as the director of the Depleted Uranium Project and getting tasked by name to clean up the mess during Desert Storm, well, I got to remember we had a direct order to disregard the health and environmental effects, alter all our reports to avoid all liability. I mean, the United States is deliberately and willfully, the U.S. military leadership has contaminated air, water, and soil all over the world with uranium munitions. We went in saying, well, we're going into these countries to give them freedom, and all we did is bomb them into oblivion. And what they've done to the U.S. military, all of us that they sent into this stuff, is just catastrophic. I mean, during Operation Desert Storm, which supposedly was 100 hours, was a lot longer than that, really. But we had less than 1,000 actual casualties. That's wounded in action, killed in action, and everything during the war. But now you've got probably 60% of those who participated in Desert Storm trying to get medical care because all the complex toxic exposures, and DU is just one of them. And then we had Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom, which the invasion plans, as you know, we wrote during the 1990s, had nothing to do with 911, zero, nada, nothing. And now we're looking at 1.5 million casualties out of that. And the backlog in the Veterans Benefit Administration awarding medical care is so broken, it's staggering. And when anybody puts the information in, it disappears. I'll give you an example. In my own medical record from the Danville VA, they submitted over 200 pages to Chicago Regional Office. The letter from Chicago Regional Office says, you don't have any problems, we only got 6 pages. And I hear that day in and day. I mean, there's in a single day where I don't have